Hey guys, this is Jonathon Henderson with Pressure Washing Marketing Pros, and I got Tim Crouch with me of Gutter Growth. How you doing, man?
Good, bro. How you doing today?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. I want to get you, man, on the podcast and on the channel because I've seen a lot of your stuff on Facebook. You know what I mean? And I know you have Gutter Growth, right? You have Gutter Growth. You sold a gutter cleaning company. You started a Christmas light company as well, man, and that's growing. And so I know you're a really busy guy, and I think a lot of people can learn from you, man.
Yeah, let's do it, bro. I remember I first met you back in Nashville.
Yeah.
I think at the huge convention.
Yeah, huge
So,
convention it was, man. It
yeah,
was. And so will you be going this year or no?
I might. Yeah, I
Might.
might.
See,
Yeah.
I see, man. I know Gutter Growth got you busy, man. You guys had your last, so right now it's February 2025. You guys had it like a couple of months ago, correct? Your first one?
What, the summit?
Yeah, Gutter
Yeah,
Summit.
we had it was last October. It was our
Yeah, last
first one.
October.
It was pretty epic, man. We just locked in our second one. That's gonna be September, I want to say 8th or somewhere around there.
Yeah, no, most definitely. So, guys, Tim comes with a wealth of knowledge, which we're going to get into today because you've grown and scaled, like I said, and sold a gutter company before that had how many crews did that gutter company have, man?
4 to 5, just
Four to five
depending on the
crews.
week. But yeah, I always had four running, and I think when I sold, I had like 14 employees and a sales guy.
Yeah, so you guys can probably see the type of numbers that he was doing during then, right? You sold that, and then obviously you started your Christmas light Griswold. Do you know what I mean? You started your Christmas light installation business as well. Did about 247,000 that first year, about 500,000 the second year, 519,000 to be exact. And then you have this goal of doing 1 million, right? And that's
Yeah, I'm hoping to hit that this year. I mean, I see how I could do it.
yeah.
It'll
So
be close.
2025 right now, guys, we'll go ahead and see it. But I'm not going to doubt anybody, man, with the stuff that you've done. So as you guys can see, Tim has a lot of knowledge and we'll be talking about that. So first things first, man, let's get right into it. Like, tell me how you got started in like everything, because I told you like before we got on this podcast that I saw that you had your left arm paralyzed, and man, you have a great story, man. Can you give us like a quick background of just like how you got started in all of this and your entrepreneurial journey?
Yeah, man. So when I was like 13, turning 14, I paralyzed my left arm. So I had a couple years. I was told I'd never use it again.
Mhm.
Um, I turned down a couple surgeries that I was supposed to get that I only had like a 6 month window. And I don't know, man. I felt like I was going to use it again. So, I had all this recovery and it kind of got me into doing personal training. Because I had to start off with like, once I was able to clench my hand, I had to start off with like a 2 pound dumbbell to do curls. But eventually I catched it up and I got pretty strong. I was benching like 375 4 years later. So I kind of transitioned into being a personal trainer at that point. So that was kind of where my entrepreneur journey started.
Mhm.
I did that for about a year. Um, and then, something fell out with that particular gym I was in. They had new management that came in and they wanted employees and they wanted to kind of get rid of the subcontractor model. So one of my clients did gutters and I ended up falling into the gutter industry. Worked for a company for like 5 years. I was able to do it because gutters was like they send you out and you do your own thing. So it was kind of like I was running my own thing.
Mhm.
But then, like 5 years into it, the recession started happening.
Oh wait, right.
I worked for a company part time a little bit, opened up a marketing company. We did flyer distribution. I had a team of like 7 guys that would distribute flyers for other companies, and we got a little bit into graphic design and printing. Did that for a little bit, but I knew gutters a lot better at the time than I did marketing.
Mhm.
So I ended up getting back into the gutter business and had a company, Gutter King, and started off in Florida, but then I ended up chasing some hailstorms in about 8 different states. Came back to Florida, founded Gutter Professionals, opened that up, and ran that for 10 years. I sold it on the 10th year anniversary.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah, man. You had the 14 employees of 5 crews, all of that, man. So that is awesome. So tell me, man, what was like the hardest thing about like growing, like, and what do you, because I know that you're closely tied into the exterior cleaning industry, because as we discussed, a lot of guys that do exterior cleaning, they also like to get in the gutter. They also like to do gutters as well, whether that's gutter cleaning, whether that's gutter guards. I don't know if they do as much repairs, but it's very similar industries that we're in. And so what do you think like what do you think that guys like? What was the hardest thing for you when it came to like growing your like in like your business for your gutter company, I should say?
I think that the main problem people have initially is because, like, we're out there just doing it. We're out there doing the jobs and wearing all hats. And I think the hardest part for people is kind of getting rid of that technician mindset to where I'm the only guy can do it or the only guy could touch it. Or even if I hire a helper, I end up holding him back and not letting him do as much as he should.
Hmm.
Or feel like, employees can't do it and only I can do it and kind of getting stuck on the truck.
Hmm. Chuck on the truck, as they say, right? So
Yeah, stuck on the truck like Chuck.
how did you get how did you overcome that mindset? Because I know a lot of guys have that, especially the guys that listen to this. I know a lot of them are still, stuck on the truck with that, man.
It was just, I just knew, like, I was just tired of doing it,
Uh-huh.
and it was hard to be honest with you. And so I started doubling my revenue every year. I was kind of like the first 2 years stagnant, doing like quarter million a year in the gutter business. And then I'm just like, enough of this. I started training this one guy that ended up, he's catching on.
Hmm.
Um, and I just got real aggressive and I started just hammering out my marketing and getting really aggressive and, you know, not being afraid to put money out there and spend it on marketing.
Hmm.
And once I started getting more aggressive, I doubled a couple of years in a row.
Hmm. What particular marketing were you doing that was allowing you to like scale this fast in that sense?
So, like, for instance, like the Christmas lights business, because
Uh-huh.
I
Yeah, let's
most
talk.
people aren't doing almost a quarter million the first season. I mean,
It's more like at best maybe like 50,000. You know what I mean?
50,000, yeah. So
Yeah. You know what I
I,
mean?
I went into it calling my shot. Maybe I was a little arrogant, but I said I was going to do 500,000 the first year.
Uh-huh.
It didn't happen, but I had high expectations, right? And so I went into it doing mainly just three things.
Uh-huh.
Um, of course, I got a website built and had some SEO work, but
Mhm.
SEO is not going to do you most justice when you just built it and you're a month in. So I had it built like I think September, and
Mhm.
then as soon as like October 1st came around, I had a pretty heavy AdWords budget, and so I put like $5,000 per month budget. I may have kicked it up to six.
Mhm.
And then I did some Facebook ads with like a $2,000 a month budget. I think the spend was only costing me like eight or nine, so it didn't spend the whole thing.
Mhm.
And then I was really aggressive and I put out that first year about 700 signs
Mhm.
and street signs. And basically, when I do street signs, I don't try to brand it unless I'm putting it in a customer's yard. But if I'm just, putting it out there to pick up calls, I'm just going to put seamless gutters or Christmas lights or
Mhm.
pressure cleaning or whatnot, and the phone number really big
Mhm.
because you just want them to see it. And a lot of guys will be like, "Oh, I'm putting out signs." I'll say, "Well, how many?" I'm like, "I
Yeah.
put out 30." Oh, what the hell's that? So
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
just you got to do a lot, and I was putting out about 100 a week and just being really aggressive. Um, and you don't have to be afraid of spending money on marketing. It's just you have to figure out what is the lead costing you, and then
Mhm.
if you're tracking your close ratio and hey, it's 50, 60%,
Mhm.
because you know that close ratio, you can figure out how much your jobs are costing you. And then once you know how much your jobs are costing you, how many jobs you got, you could figure out what your average ticket price is of those jobs. And when you know those numbers, it's not really so scary to start marketing.
Mhm.
But when you're just kind of stabbing in the dark and you're guessing and you're making decisions on your feelings and not the data and what it's actually costing you, if you can get clarity on that, it's gonna be a lot easier mentally to come up with decent budgets, like I was just saying, because
Yeah.
you know,
No, 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 most definitely not. And there's two things that you said that I really agree with, right? So the first one is going to be like people aren't putting out enough volume. So guys will talk about EDDMs or they'll talk about yard signs and they'll even talk to us, man. They'll be like, yeah, man, yard signs didn't really work. I put out 50. And I'm like, dude, 50? That's how many you put on each day in a week. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like in that sense, or EDDMs are like, man, I sent out like 300, 400 EDDMs, right? And I'm like, you got to put out even more EDDMs because it's going to individual mailboxes. Like
right,
with yard signs, people everybody sees that. So you might have 100 people see that. EDDMs, you're only like getting like that one person in their mailbox. So you have to send it consistently and frequently. And then you also said you're not afraid to spend. if you could do it, like, so you're money man, I'm gonna call you money man, Tim, for that. But let's say that you didn't have like that kind of money in the sense of like, Facebook ads, because some people might say, well, yeah, if I had $2,000 to spend with Facebook ads, I might be able to turn it well. Or if I
Yeah,
put
yeah, yeah.
$6,000 into Google ads or whatever it may be, I might be able to do that. But what would you tell a guy that would say that, in the sense of like, what marketing would you use then, like if you didn't have that kind of
So
budget?
say if we had a small budget, I mean, most everybody could print 100 signs. You don't have to print 500 at once. Print 100, get those 100 out because that's going to be the fastest way you can get money, jobs coming in, right? And leads.
Yeah.
Um, but there's got to be, I know the gutter industry. We work with roofers, we work with property managers, builders, GCs, real estate agents. So, I don't know. I guess pressure cleaning, you'd probably work with property managers, real estate agents. I'm sure there's other referral partners that you could have. You could Google data list brokers online, and a couple different companies will pop up. What you want to do is you want to ask them for all that criteria within your targeted area. So whatever county you're working in or whatever particular cities, they'll pull up a list, and it'll be everybody that does those particular things.
Mhm.
And so listen, you either got time or you got money. And so it's either, you could throw money out or you could put time into it. And what I like to tell people is if you got to systemize it, right? Because it's the same thing. I've told people, you need to call people, and they say, "Well, I have." Well, how many people did you call? Well, I called like 20, and no one wanted anything. I'm like, well, what is 20? And so the thing is, if you systemize it and you do 50 per day, just 50 calls, like I'm going to carve out this hour and a half per day. I'm not doing anything anyways. I'm slow. It's a non-negotiable. If I do that 5 days a week and I do that for 4 weeks and I have a list of 1,000 numbers, right? If you do horrible, which I think 1% is pretty shitty, but if you do 1%, like the worst that you can, by the end of that month, end of those 4 weeks, you're going to have 10 contractors or somebody that's either giving you one job a month or maybe 10, but you're going to have those partners and those relationships built. And that's the first thing I would do if I had a shoestring budget because a list like that's going to cost you a couple $100.
Yeah. I like that. I haven't really heard that before, man. And so that's something that's unique that I've never heard since I've been doing this, right? And so that's honestly really good. And it talks about like the non-negotiables, because to get off the truck with that too, I tell a lot of guys in that sense is that you have to be able to have those non-negotiable time slots. You can't let I always call it like dumpster fires, or like is it a house fire or is it a dumpster fire? Like a dumpster fire will be contained and it won't
Yeah.
get worse, right? So like problems like that don't need your immediate attention. House fires do, and so too many guys are putting out dumpster fires in that sense, when it's like you need to be selling. You know what I mean? So I'm
And
glad.
if you can't carve out that time per day, like you're never going to be working on your business. You're only going to be stuck in it doing everything,
Yeah.
and so that's why it's non-negotiable. And things like when you're trying to grow and scale, it's tough at first. Not everyone has a big budget to just do it fast. And so when you're doing that, you want to be able to you want to be able to work on the business and get used to that, and so that way you could have someone else come in and replace it. And if you spend that hour per day, you're going to grow fast, and it might cause chaos initially, but that's kind of like how business works. First the chaos comes, and then you put systems in place to kind of smooth it all out, and then it gets easier.
Mm-hmm.
And you grow and it might get chaotic again, and then you need more systems in place to fix that. So
You're right. And I always say there's periods of like expansion and retraction, right? And what I mean by that is like there's going to be some years, or maybe even some periods of a year, where it's like you're not really growing that much because you're focusing on your systems. You know what I mean? And then that other 6 months you might just be growing because those systems that you built up now are can handle that growth for those 6 months in that sense. And I think that's where I think guys get caught up on, I don't know, maybe you can attest to that too. I think sometimes guys in our industry can get caught up on one side where they're just like too systems focused in that sense, and they never really like do the
they
set
don't,
stuff, all of that.
right.
And guys get too salesy, and it's like they don't have any systems, things are breaking, clients are pissed. You know what I mean?
You need like a happy medium,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know.
A happy medium. So you had 14 employees, man. And also I want to shout out your guys' VA service that you have as well, called Secret Weapon. So of course, you know about virtual assistants, because I know that's a service that you guys have called Secret Weapons, right? where you guys place, certain virtual assistants in people's businesses. And so I know maybe 15 years ago, we didn't have that kind of service, you know what I mean? Or we
Yeah.
didn't ability like that, but now we do, right? First, I guess the first question would be, because we'll get to secret weapons in a minute. The first question would be for a lot of guys that are like in the gutter space or pressure washing, exterior cleaning, Christmas light space, what would be the first hire you think that those guys need to make? Like the first hire that they would,
The first hire is someone answering the phone.
uh-huh,
Because, when you're out there doing the work and you're doing all of it and you're missing 5 phone calls, like once you start to miss 5 phone calls a week, that's a problem. And that 5 phone calls that you're missing are going to pay for your office admin, right? And so you could just get a secret weapon VA to come in for very cheap. It's like 18.97 per month. They're
uh-huh.
40 hours a week. They'll answer the phone. They'll work within your CRM. They'll schedule estimates. They'll schedule jobs. You can also have them do outbound, right? So we're talking about doing these cold calls. You could get that data list, and if you don't have time, let's delegate that to the VA and have the VA start doing appointment setting to where maybe they don't know everything about the business, but they're getting that person on the phone with you, and then you have a conversation, and then now you're creating a relationship with that person, and because maybe you really can't do an hour, hour and a half a day making the calls, but a VA could.
Yeah, no, and I love what you just said right now in that sense about and guys, the secret weapons. What's the website? Just in case
Secretweapons.io.
secretweapons.io. So secretweapons.io, I'll have that in the description as well, guys. Um, but also like I tell people that because I think that when we have the stigma about our first hire, people think that it's gotta be like you gotta have all these, like what kind of health insurance, what kind of, like we look at all these things and it's like you need to just start, right? And so like a virtual assistant, that's why I kind of asked you that. I kind of baited you into that because I know you
Yeah.
say that, man. But like a virtual assistant answering the phone is pivotal. Just like you said, in 1897, man, work 40 hours a week. Like you can't find nobody like that out here in America. You know what I
You
mean?
can. You're gonna have to in America. You're gonna have to match the taxes. It's not gonna just be a flat 1897. You might have to have even though if they're in the office, you still gotta have some type of workers' comp on them. And
It's gonna cost you at the very least to have like somebody that's at least competent, but not as skilled, but they're competent with like no experience. It's probably gonna cost you like $60,000 a year, man, like 5,000 a month.
absolutely, absolutely.
Like how do I know? You guys can ask me because I got it on my team.
The great thing about them being that cheap is like say if you might need 2 of them. Like you might need another one to do social media management, content creation, video editing. And that's part of how we market gutter growth. I'm not on there all day putting together images and posting on Facebook. It's like, I got my VAs are doing their thing. We got 3 of them, and they're very pivotal to how we've grown not only gutter growth, but launching the gutter summit. Like I don't know what I would do without them. So I mean, it's a
Yeah,
big help, but you have to hire out. If you're trying to do everything yourself, you're only going to be able to do, at max maybe 250,000 a year. I don't know. I'm guessing somewhere around there in the pressure cleaning industry. You're not going to be able to get a couple trucks going if you're doing absolutely everything.
true. And I would say 250 max.
Max.
If you're just a one man band, like 250 max at max. But you're right, like even with the virtual assistant stuff, because I tell clients all the time, and they're like, you can just leverage it just for more than just even like and like you said calls reviews, like let's say that you wanted more reviews and you had a CRM and you had 1,000 people that you've worked with in that CRM. If they're because I think what a lot of people have trouble with is they're like, I don't know how much work I could give them because they're so used to doing everything themselves. It's like, dude, they can answer the phone for you and then there's always tasks to be done. Like if I want more Google business profile reviews, I can just literally have that person have a script and say like, hey, on your CRM, sort out by like people that got 5 stars that didn't leave a review, and if you have 1,000 contacts, even let's say 500, and let's say that 350 of them didn't leave a review, you could literally just call those people and say, hey, we saw that we did your service back in November of whatever it was. We were wondering if you leave you a review, and that VA can do that for you, and all of a sudden you got 20, 30 more reviews right there.
That you can send out newsletters because, like, let's face it, like they don't need their place washed once. I
Yeah.
mean, really, a pressure washing business should be very scalable, but I feel like a lot of people aren't. getting those jobs coming back. It's like they do it
Oh,
once and forget about it. And then now that person just calling up another pressure cleaning guy because you didn't nurture the relationship.
bingo. And I'm glad you hit that on the head, man. So that is a golden nugget for you guys that he just said. Because you being in different industries, you kind of see how that is, man. And where the advantages with exterior cleaning, which I tell guys all the time, is I say, look, if you're in junk removal, which I used to be a partner of a junk removal company, I call those one night stand jobs. And what I mean by one night stand jobs, it's like not
Wham
everybody.
bams.
You know what I mean? Like, yeah, it's like whenever they need like their fix or whenever they need their junk removed, they call you. But like other than that though, they're not ever calling you in that sense, right? And it's not like attached or tied to something that they really care about. People care about their houses and they're attached to it, right? So it's like I could do a roof cleaning, a gutter cleaning, a driveway cleaning. I could do so many things on that person's property each year in that sense. Like in the spring, I could do a house wash and a roof cleaning. In the summer, I
Yep.
might be able to clean their windows. In the fall, I might be able to go ahead and like clean their gutters, right? And then even in this wintertime, I can hang their lights. That's 4 to 5 times you extract that much. So I'm glad you said that, man. Yep, yep. I'm glad that you said that. So what do you think? So growing a team of 14 people, like what do you think is like the most important thing in terms of like culture and hiring? Because I know a lot of guys have trouble hiring, right? Because the second thing I'd get to about that, people have a hard time getting jobs, but they also have a hard time hiring. So what would you say about hiring in that sense that is pivotal and helps you scale
So
employees?
most everyone in business has a concept that they need to spend money on advertisement. Like they
Mhm.
know that they have to do that, right? And they know that it's like a constant thing. Like if you don't do that, you're not going to have leads, right?
Uh-huh.
Well, for hiring, it's the same thing. Like what most people do is they wait until the very day that they need to hire someone, and now they freak out and they put an ad on, and they're like, "Oh, I need someone," and they're taking calls and they get 5 calls, and each one of them are a joke, but they're eager to get someone in there, so they hire too quickly. They put someone in there, now they have the wrong hire, and then you have another period of like 1 to 4 or 5 weeks, 6 weeks, maybe 2 months that you're wasting your time with someone that really shouldn't be there to begin with. And now you're back at square one again, and you took that ad down, and now you're putting that ad back up again. But really, like you should have hiring ads, even if it's in free spots like on Facebook groups or whatnot. It doesn't have to be paid. Indeed's pretty good, but it's paid. But I would run ads all year round. Maybe on the back of your work truck, have a link. I'd like to put an application on my website, so I would always have a link on the back of my trucks. Now hiring, apply here, and it's just you need to have a hiring strategy 12 months out of the year, 365. It doesn't need to stop. You want leads to always come in so that when even if you don't need to hire right now, you have a flow of leads coming in for when you do, and you got people to call and people to follow up on, and you got kind of like a bucket of um, you know, a
Prospect.
potential, yeah, prospects. And
No.
so that's the main thing I would do is then you're not scrambling. You can make better decisions. You always want to hire based off of culture.
Mhm.
And you want to be a good company to work for. Like, would you want to work for you? I always ask people that. And if you wouldn't want to work for you, like if you put yourself out of the situation of being you and you could picture working for a company like you and you wouldn't work for you, I mean, why would anyone else want to work for you? And so it's like you want to be a good leader and have a good company and you want to take care of your employees. It's all right if you don't have benefits right off the bat. And then when you get into employees too, you got to worry about things like workers' comp. So what I always would do is I would hire a leasing company to do my payroll.
Mhm.
And with that comes workers' comp, and they keep you legal. They're paying the taxes. But what I like about it is most of them will offer benefits even if you don't contribute, at least whoever you're hiring is able to get that. Even if it comes out of their check, they still have the option of being able to get dental insurance or health insurance. And usually it's like an a la carte thing to where they could kind of pick their coverage and so you being a good company and um that's the main thing because that's why it wasn't really that hard for me to hire to get to 14 guys because once I had a good culture, my guys would find guys for me. I would have a referral program and so most of my hires were really like that. and then just running ads constantly. So I had a flow of guys to call on.
And see, you guys are probably overlooking what Tim is telling you guys, but this is he said two or three key things that I want to restate that you said, man, because so first off, the hiring stuff in that sense of always having that lead flow. You just like how we treat ourselves, we want to treat our, employee prospect database. You know what I mean? To where I do the same thing that you do, Tim. So I'm glad you confirmed that for me because even when I don't need hiring, I'm like, man, I'm still, I have something like I have $3 a day on Indeed right now because I just don't know who I'm gonna get, right? And it sucks sometimes because it's like, man, I really want to hire this guy right now. I don't have the capacity to, but
Yeah.
I'll do that. But the biggest thing that I like that you said too is about like being legal as well. You know what I mean? And like how you don't need to go ahead and have that stuff immediately. And then you talked about referrals in that sense about how your employees are getting other employees so that saves you time, that saves you money, and it also that the people that they're probably recommending are just like them. You know what I mean?
9 out of 10 times they fit the culture. You
Yeah,
know?
so it's people that are just like them, and so I think that's this thing that you guys really need to take away by what Tim said.
Another thing I
Yeah,
want to
go
say
on.
is it's
Yeah.
also gonna, those type of hires have a higher retention rate because people are less likely to leave a job when they have one friend at that job.
Hmm.
And that's another thing that it could be a strategy. Like say maybe you have a couple guys, like maybe you're not a small company. Maybe you got two crews going. If you assign them a buddy that kind of is going to help take care of them, through the hiring process, and they got one person there that's like their person that they could go to, and they develop that relationship. Now they're less likely to leave because they bonded with someone.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree with you in that sense. I definitely do agree with you when it comes to that. So that's one thing that I've also seen as well. So because of course people I think they leave companies, but you said it too, like it's just way harder. I mean, people don't leave companies, they leave leaders, right? And so if even
Right.
if somebody has like a friend on there, in that sense, it does definitely make it a lot easier. So you're giving them the nuggets, man. You're giving them
Yeah,
the
man.
you know what I mean? So I really appreciate that. So let's talk about like I know another thing that you probably talk about because we're going to talk about gutter growth. We're going to talk about all of that stuff too because I know that I have about 20 more minutes with you, man. In that sense. But the biggest thing too that I want to talk about is like pricing because I know a lot of guys in our industry, pricing is a big thing and I see you even contribute to some of those discussions as
Yeah.
well when they're on Facebook and all of that. So when it comes to pricing, like how can people determine pricing like do you agree with people that say that you should start out cheap and then like, go from there? Like how do you look at pricing and, becoming that premium pricing option that everybody wants to work with?
So there's this book I recommend that everyone reads. It's called um For Profit for Contractors, or I'll think of it. I don't think it's a name, but basically what the concept is, right, is you don't want to be the cheapest guy. And so like let's say this is like gutter estimates, right? And so we'll just use it for gutters, but this is applicable anywhere.
Uh-huh.
Um, Say that company A has 10 estimates,
Uh-huh.
company B has 10 estimates. Company A is charging $5 a foot, which in the gutter industry it's pretty cheap.
Yeah.
Company B is charging $10, which it could go up as high as 15. 10's not even that ridiculously high. It's probably what everyone should be at least. Um, Company A is making like $2 a foot profit, when they're done. Company B is making five, six, $7 a foot profit, right? So now you got gross margins. So let's just say they're doing 500 feet a day install.
Uh-huh.
So company A is making $1,000 a day gross.
Uh-huh.
Company B, they're going to make $3,500 a day gross.
Mhm.
Now let's get back to the 10 estimates. Like the cheaper companies obviously going to close more jobs,
Mhm.
so they can close a 50, 60% close rate. They're only going to have like 5 to 6,000 profit. You can be the higher price guy, only close 30%, and you're making 10,500. You literally doubled what they made doing less jobs. And so not every customer is yours. You need to set your price to be profitable. You should know your margins and your jobs, but you want to price your work so that way you're able to afford future things. Like it could be that VA that's going to cost you $897 a month. You
Uh-huh.
know, you want to factor all these things in so that you can be a scalable company. If you're just looking at what the next guy is charging and you're charging what he is, you're just going to stay a chuck in the truck. If you're never factoring what it's going to cost to put in advertisement money, to pay your guys good, right? Why do you want to be the cheap company and your guys have to be poor? You know what I'm saying? Like if you could take care of your guys, you're a better company. You got better employees, and there's a different market of people that are not looking for the cheap guy. And so you literally could have a 30% close rate. And if you're charging the right prices, you're going to have a wildly more successful business than that guy who's just trying to be the cheap guy and he's making no margins and he can't pay his guys good and he can't afford advertisement. He can't afford to fix his equipment. It's just it's a quick road to nowhere.
Yeah, and you said it right there, fixed equipment, like and you can't anticipate emergencies or you can't anticipate anything that's going to happen, right? We could go into another recession where it could be some COVID type of thing. Like you just don't know, right? In terms of what you can anticipate. So I like that. So how can people say like, well, because I believe it could be branding too. Do you believe that as well? Like branding really plays a part into like being able to be perceived in that higher value. Because if you come out there in like just like a t-shirt, like a white t-shirt, jeans and boots. And not saying that you couldn't still command that because you could be really good at sales, but why not make it easier for you, like, by being branded, by looking professional and all of that, and people will be like, yeah, these guys probably deserve that higher price. Do you believe
Yeah,
that?
man. So what branding is is it's basically, the public's perception of you. And
Mhm.
so you can create a strong brand that, embodies trust. And it's going to be much easier when you're professional and your website has good branding and everything looks professional. You're answering the phone or you got someone answering the phone every time in the office. You're just scheduling out estimates, you're on time. When you run professional, people are going to take you more seriously. If you take yourself seriously and your business seriously, the public will. And I'm glad you said that because my gutter business that I sold, I was known for doing high-end stuff. It wasn't nothing for me to have $100,000 copper job or, you
Mhm.
know, an $80,000 job on a school or something. Like we had high-end work, and what I did was I made sure that my website was a reflection of that.
Mhm.
So I would take off all the low value cheap jobs. And I only had pictures of copper and high-end work. Like that's what my website was. You didn't see a low-end job on my website. So when people came to my website, they're like, this is the guy that does all the copper. And so it built the trust. And so branding is very important, man. And if you could have that customer trust you before you get there, it cuts out a lot of the work. You're not having to sell yourself. You're just literally going there to serve, and to do whatever that they need done.
Yeah. So a question I like to ask guys like yourself, man, in that sense is like, how do you see this industry? How do you see this industry changing, man, in the future? You know what I mean? Like, what are the biggest things that you think are going to be changing in this industry? Some guys might say AI stuff. Some guys say a lot of different things. Like, but what do you think are like the biggest things that you could see changing in the industry, like in the next like 5 years?
I think AI is pretty huge. Yeah, I mean, I think that nothing's going to change unless that you make it change in your business. I mean, you can keep doing the same thing that you're doing now, and then 5 years from now, you're going to keep doing the same thing, and then you're going to be in the same spot. But if you
Or
like
out of business.
if you kind of really focus in on knowledge and like focus in on the changes and be open to it and really pay attention to your business and you're not afraid to change, then I think that any business that your changes in the next 5 years, no matter what happens with AI or some new social media platform or whatnot, if you're dialed in 5 years, you could change where you're at now.
Yeah, man. So let's go into gutter growth, man. Can you tell me a little about gutter growth? Because I know that you guys are helping gutter companies and people that are interested in that. And so I know that you guys are always staying at that cutting edge. So can you tell me about gutter growth and what that's about and what that entails?
Yeah, man. So we got a variety of members. Some of them have been in the pressure cleaning business or the roofing business or the Christmas lights business, and they're wanting to get into the industry. So we got a
Uh-huh.
couple people like that, and maybe they want a year-round job to kind of fill in the spot for Christmas lights. So we've gotten some startups that have gotten into the program, and we've kind of helped them scale. We got a lot of gutter companies that are, you know, on the truck right now, maybe doing 250,000 a year to 500,000, and we're helping them get off the truck or get into that first million. But then we got other guys in the group that are doing 3, 4 million a year. And so there's a good variety of guys in the group. We got about 70 members right now.
Mhm.
Um, and we have 7 coaches between all of us. So it's me, Grant, and a few other coaches, and we're all gutter industry specific, but we all kind of have our forte that we're, experts on. So it's like really well rounded group, and we do weekly mastermind meetings and a little bit of one-on-one consulting. And then I don't know if you're familiar with the platform school.
Yeah,
Um,
it's cool.
yeah, man. So
But
we
I
got a
definitely-
we got the gutter vault in this in the school platform, and that's where you got, company handbooks and SOPs and different documents and org charts and video playbacks. And so it's a good resource. And the ones that jump in and they participate, and because all we could do right is coach. We can't make you do it. But the ones that jump in and they start taking action, we got a lot of guys. I got this one kid, right? He's like 21. He came in doing like $150,000 his first year revenue, and he's been with us for 2 years. But this last year, he just net profited 420 grand. And that was just 2 years ago, man. He was net profiting probably, I don't know, 30 grand. you
Yeah,
know?
yeah, yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
So it's a good group. And we also got the gutter summit. So, that's another thing to look out for. And you don't got to be part of the group to go to the gutter summit. So
yeah, man. What's the information for gutter growth? Like, so I can put that in the description.
you could just if you type in gutter growth in the search bar, we got a private Facebook group, also a business page on there that you can follow. We also have the Gutter Growth podcast. We're on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple. Um, yeah, so or you could just reach out to me. I'm always welcome to help anyone. So if you got any questions, you can DM me.
Touch on Facebook in that sense. Yeah, most definitely. And you guys, I know that you guys, I know we talked about that. You guys are gonna have like a series where we're gonna document growing a gutter company, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it may not be yours, man. It may not be yours. It may be somebody else's. But I know that you guys like just you guys want to document the journey. You guys want to document the journey in that sense. So I definitely understand that, man.
Got some stuff on the pipeline.
Yeah, and got some stuff in the pipeline, man. So definitely look forward to seeing that in that sense, man. But yeah, is there anything else that you'd want to add though, man, to it, like and that you want to discuss or cover?
Um, no, I guess you got any other questions?
I got maybe one or two, man. I
Yeah,
got
man.
I
Let me
wanna
have it. Let me
I,
have
wa-
it.
I want to make sure, man, that like I get as much stuff, much of your time as possible. So, is there anything for you that's helped you be an entrepreneur? It doesn't have to necessarily be like a mindset, a habit, I would say a skill set that you may have or a principle that you have that helps you, in your entrepreneurial journey.
Yeah, I think that a lot of people get stuck in like analysis paralysis, and they overthink things. And I think being an entrepreneur, like if you could just have the mindset of taking imperfect action and just taking action, you're going to get further with taking action imperfectly and kind of like looking at what you did and reevaluating it and then just making little tweaks and changes. And it's a constant improvement. You got to constantly improve. And if you're jumping into entrepreneurship, it's like one of the greatest personal growths that you could, you don't grow personally any more than when you become an entrepreneur, because you're going to get slapped in the face over and over again. It's being able to take those slaps and kind of learning from it and keep going, bro.
Yeah, no, man, we all know that. I tell everybody in that sense. That's why it's good to be a part of a group, a part of coaching. Like even for me, I'm part of a group called Seven Figure Agency, to where you meet like-minded people. People could be in like gutter growth to be around to be around like-minded people as well. Because I think the hardest thing along this journey is that I think everybody thinks that everybody's entrepreneurs when you're in the entrepreneur space because you talk to entrepreneurs all the time, or like your Facebook feed is full of entrepreneurs, right? So like for me, I have a bunch of pressure wash companies, guys like yourself, man, all of that. So I'm thinking that like the whole world is just entrepreneurs in that kind of sense, and a lot of people aren't entrepreneurs. So it can be
Sure.
when you get offline, your day to day life, a lot of people aren't entrepreneurs like that, and so you think that the problems that exist for you are just that, like only you go through that when there's like a lot of other people that also share that same thing as well. And so I try to tell people that too. Like, you're not the only one. We all go through the same thing, even if it's a totally different vertical, right?
Yeah.
Employees signing last minute, just anything like something, a system changes in that sense. And you're
The
like, we got to,
challenges don't stop. They just get bigger.
yeah, exactly, man. Exactly. Well, I appreciate your time, Tim. I really do. And so, as I said, guys, like when we have that like secretweapons.io, correct? Gutter
Yep.
growth, you have gutter growth in that sense, and you got some stuff like Griswold, like Christmas lights and that, starting that business and that. You got some stuff cooking up in the gutter industry. I already know I don't want to elaborate on that too much, but you got some stuff cooking up
I
going on.
know a lot of the pressure cleaners. I know you guys get into like gutter guard and stuff like that, or gutter cleaning.
Yeah.
You can always check us out at the Gutter Summit. It's totally applicable. Most of it is about growth and about business. We're not necessarily teaching installs at these conventions. It's all like business focused and every different area of the business, whether it's accounting or different types of marketing. We cover it all. We had about 20 speakers last year, maybe more than that. And next year is going to be the same. So actually, it's going to be bigger. We're going to have more vendors, but there's gutter guard vendors. So I mean, there's all types of different products that you could get into that even if you're not jumping into the gutter installation space, it might help you in the pressure cleaning space because you have you pressure wash a house and they might need gutter guards. That could be a great upsell. That
I
if you
have a
incorporate that into your business, you're
yeah.
adding.
Actually, what's funny enough is that one of our clients, man, he was actually, shout out to him. He knows who he is if he's listening to this. But he was at one of those Alex Hermosi growth, you know what I mean? Like how he
Yeah,
flies,
conferences.
yeah, one of those conferences, right? And it was funny seeing him on there with that kind of stuff and hearing him. But the thing that scaled his business the most, and he's one of our top pressure washing companies, is gutter cleaning in that sense because he has a subscription based
It could keep you going back.
service.
Yep.
Exactly. And so it's something that like for gutters, people always have like once they get clogged, you got that stuff. And so entire gutter systems in that sense. And so I think that's still a relevant vertical for a lot of guys because I know some guys will get in verticals that aren't as relevant. You know what I mean? And they're like, oh dude, I'm gonna do drywall repair. And it's like, bro, like what are you talking? Like that has nothing to do with like
Yeah, it's not relevant. Yep.
Christmas lights I could see because the reason why I say guys can get into Christmas lights and let me know if you agree or not is because it's not taking away from your exterior cleaning business. And what I mean by that is like if you're already slow and you're not doing anything in like the months of like November through February or like January, whatever it may be, and you need that boost of income, you can just start a Christmas light business only for Christmas in that sense. You know what I mean? During that time when you're slow, and then you ain't got to worry about that.
And
You
honestly, bro, 50 grand, your first season's great. You don't got to do
yeah,
250. If you do
yeah.
50, you can manage that. That's not that much work.
And honestly, if you profit, let's just say, even if you just profit like 20K from that, you know what I mean? In that sense, like you have 30 to 40% like profit margin off of that. You could literally use that to either save for your next big purchase, for like employee bonuses, whatever it may be, you can go ahead and save that money to go ahead and do that. So the thing I like about gutter stuff though is that it's still in the same vertical for exterior cleaning. Like it's not going to hurt their business by offering this type of stuff because you already clean gutters. You know what I
And then
mean?
you can have, say if it's like an install thing that you're not going to get into, get a referral partner with a gutter guy. He can start
Yeah,
sending you pressure cleaning jobs.
exactly. And he might, and he'll send you that, or even gutter clean. Like, dude, I need you to clean these gutters, bro, because my team, we don't like to clean the gutters, bro.
Gutter guys are great partners for that because they
Yeah,
see these jobs. They don't really want to do the clean outs, they're into installing.
yeah, because man, look, I've worked with a couple gutter companies, man, and the biggest thing on that is guys will always end up saying things like, dude, just run the gutter repair, the gutter installation stuff. I don't want to like, dude, I don't care about the gutter cleaning stuff, dude. I really don't, because you guys are trying to avoid cleaning the gutters. You know what I
We
mean?
are.
You know what I mean with their whole gutter systems. You guys are trying to
Yep.
avoid cleaning
I
gutters.
actually got my pressure cleaning subcontractor already lined up for my gutter cleanup. So
See, look,
yeah,
you went ahead and had that with that kind of stuff, man. But
yeah.
thank you so much for your time, man. You dropped some bombs, you dropped some gems, and I'm glad that we're able to, go ahead and still meet the deadline. I know you got to go now, man, but I know you're a busy guy, but I really appreciate you having on. I think you shared a lot of great information.
Thanks, brother. Thanks for having me on.
No
Appreciate you.
problem, man. Thank you so much.
See you.